Hello, guys, and welcome back to lesson 2 of our time in Premiere. What are you talking about? I'm losing the plot. Okay, so in this lesson, we are going to be looking at some stuff I did in Afghanistan. Now, let me just give you a bit of background about this base, this area. Okay, so this is called Sangin. This was in a place called Sangin. Okay. So let me show you a map, get a little map up. So Afghanistan has a number of provinces. I'm going to embarrass myself when I try and say how many there are, but there are a number of provinces. I want to say between 20 and 30. Okay, so this is Afghanistan. And when I lived there, I was based in Kabul, which is the capital. Okay, and we would fly on military helicopters or Hercules planes to different parts of Afghanistan to go on operations with the soldiers or to film Afghan like projects or initiatives and stuff like that. And we had to cover a lot of different stuff, cover like when girls got to go to school for the first time, which was a beautiful sight because as some of you might know, under the Taliban, girls being educated is forbidden, and so girls had the risk if they tried to go into school or anything when the Taliban were in charge, they would have acid thrown in their faces and really quite horrendous stuff. So when a new a new school got built and girls were able to go there, we'd go and film that and stuff like that. Now, I was a bit of a nutcase because I always wanted to go in the combat stuff, but I ended up doing a lot of like school and new well being built for a village. So I mean, in terms of the conflict itself, I've got very many opinions, as you can probably imagine. But one thing that was nice was when the security that was provided by international forces and then Afghan forces who we were training up meant that a school could be built and kids who'd never been to school could go. That was always really cool to see. But anyway, I'm slightly digressing. So one of the provinces down here in the south, okay, so Kabul is up here. One of the provinces down south here is called Helmand. Okay, now Helmand, I'm sure you'll recognise. Helmand, and it's not like, on Google Maps is not saying the word Helmand, but this, so you see this dotted line here? Okay. And Helmand is roughly the size, it's a little bit smaller than England itself, but not wildly different, okay, because Afghanistan's quite a big country. And so Helmand was where the majority of British forces were based, and Helmand had this river, the Helmand River Valley River, going up throughout the whole province, okay, and around Helmand, the river, was this thing called the Green Zone. If I put it to where's satellite view? Here it is. If I put it to satellite view, you see around the river is this sort of very lush green areas. This is called the Green Zone. This is where you can imagine the variety of the majority. What am I talking about? The majority of population lived, and a lot of Helmand therefore was just plain desert. It was extremely hot down there, like really, it's the hottest I've ever been in my life. Like some operations it was like close to 50 degrees, and then when you had helmet and body armor on, man, you were sweating. It was so unpleasant. So yeah, the majority of people lived around the Green Zone. It meant the majority of combat was around the Green Zone. Now Sangin was an area north of or is an area north of Helmand, and this is where the British probably had their most casualties. It was a grim area. The locals there were lovely. Like the children, they were so cute and lovely. But the Taliban had a very strong presence in this area, and so we were based. And do you know what? I don't even know roughly where the base was. I don't want to like take a guess, but I want to say it was. So Kajaki's up there. So I want to say it was somewhere probably around here. Okay, and we were based near this road, which is called the 611, and the road is this main. This is the main road, like the main. It's not a motorway, but it's the main road that runs through Helmand. And so we'd patrol around this area, and I was with them, just filming the soldiers, and we were surrounded by Taliban. Okay, wherever we'd go out, we'd get hit 7-8 times a day from them. And so I was staying on this patrol base with these soldiers. It's called Patrol Base Blenheim. And we were living with Afghan soldiers. So you see this dude here is an Afghan soldier. So Afghan soldiers have sort of the green camouflage, and the British soldiers have sort of desert camouflage like that. And the job was to train the Afghan soldiers to take over security themselves. So we didn't have to be there anymore. So when I was with soldiers, we would I'd stay with them, and I stayed with these guys for a couple of weeks. And the intention is to always do as many video pieces as you can. So you go on a trip, and if you come back with like 4 or 5 small documentaries or news reports you can make, then you've got good value from the trip. If you go away for like 2 weeks and you come back with one story, it's like, could you have used your time better? So the pressure was on us as content creators. Whenever we went to a new place, right, how many pieces can you come back with? So I'm sharing 2 of the B-roll footage. Is not a word. My brain is really not on today. I'm so sorry. The baby has gone through this thing called the 4-month sleep regression. I'd never heard of it before because our other 2 didn't do it like this one. But when they get to 4 months, apparently their brains start and their sleep patterns start operating like real people. I'd say real people, that's horrible, but like adults, if you see what I mean. And they have like sleep cycles of, you know, deep sleep and lighter sleep, and when they wake up they don't know how to put themselves back to sleep again, and because they're used to us like holding them or patting them, whatever, it's quite difficult. So we're both quite sleep deprived at the moment, so forgive me for being slightly blur. But the way I'd structure my B-roll, guys, which is sort of the collection of shots together, I'd have all the general shots at the start, and then I'd have interviews at the end. Okay, so what we're going to do, and it's actually really sad looking at some of these because some of these guys aren't actually alive anymore. So we're going to I'm going to show you just how I would go about cutting a documentary. Now, the reason we're doing documentary in this lesson is because I don't think many of you have had experience cutting documentary footage that isn't your own, and I think there's a lot of cool stuff we can learn from this. So let's get this going into Premiere. So the one we can do, so the sort of slightly more boring one is the one we can do together, which is called Patrol Base, which is about living conditions in this base, and it was a tough place to live. It's very, very sandy, and you see how like people have to shower and stuff. And then the more exciting one you get to do is Murder Holes. Okay, and at the end of this lesson, I'll give you the brief, and you see we've got some sniper action going on. It's a pretty cool thing. I'll explain to you what happened with this. You see what I mean about the kids? Like they're gorgeous. I absolutely love them. So we'll do Patrol Base together, and then I'll leave Murder Holes for you guys to then do in your own time, and post onto Owler. Right. So I hope the context helps you a bit. We're in a base surrounded by Taliban. Okay. Okay, so if you could drag patrolbase.mp4 into your project. Okay, and then we don't need the color grading for now. You can color grade later if you want to, but let's go back to workspaces, reset to save layout, make sure it's on editing, reset to save layout. Okay. Right, now, the slight problem we've got is because we haven't taken this from a nice little memory card, which has got all the footage nicely laid out for us, it's all in one clip, and it's a bit troublesome. Now, guys, just FYI, I've set my Premiere to play the sound, not through my headphones, but through the speakers. So, when I press play, hopefully you can hear some of it. And this is a bit of a dodgy setup because I've got my webcam microphone down here. You hear that? And so the speakers are playing into this, like out from my computer, and then the webcam's picking it up and bringing it back into the computer. So this is not an ideal setup for doing like sound. So I'm really, really sorry, but I'm just trying to make it work so you can at least hear what I'm hearing. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, guys, save your work before anything else, to save this documentary wherever, and we want to just actually divide the footage out so it works. Okay, so let's just drag this into the main timeline, and remember it creates a timeline. And if you go down here to just list view, it should be in list view already, I guess, for most of you, and just go to the sequence icon. Okay, press enter and just call it Patrol Base Doc. Okay, because this is a documentary about the Patrol Base. Now what we want to do is just to zoom in here in Premiere, press plus, and we want to go through and just separate or extract the different clips we've got. Now down here I'm going to actually go to thumbnail icon view. Sorry, it used to be called thumbnail view, I'm pretty sure. Icon view, just so we can actually see these different things. Now of course this is the sequence itself, and this is the footage. Now what we can do is in the timeline, go down here and locate just where the end of the first shot is. Okay, so there. Okay, so what we're going to do is just move the playhead so it's on the last frame of the Afghan soldier walking along. Okay, so about that, and we're going to cut it. So just do C and then click on this clip, and then we're going to go to clip and make subclip. You see this up here, Command U, and then just call this Afghan soldier 1, and make sure that is ticked, and press OK. So now we've created, I know it's confusing because all of these are the same shot, but it'll make sense. Double click on Afghan soldier. You see we've just created this clip. Okay, so this guy, we can't accidentally stray to any other bit of footage here. Okay, right, so you can delete that if you want. Let's go to the next one. So these are soldiers sitting down wide shot. Okay, so again, I'm on the last clip. I'm going to press cut, double click on it, go to make subclip, soldiers sitting wide. Press OK. Right, hang on a sec. Oh, I made a slight mistake, guys. I'm so sorry. I get mixed up because on After Effects you need to cut on the last frame. On Premiere you cut the frame after. Let's just undo that. I'm so sorry. So I'm going to go back here, and you see the last frame with the guys there. So I'm going to move it 1. Just move the clip inwards like that. Okay, and then double click on it again and do it again. I'm so sorry. I was so used to the After Effects way of doing it. So call this soldiers sitting wide. Okay, and now you see that we've got our clip of the soldiers there. Okay, so let's do the next one. And actually, what might be good is before we just go through and do it bit by bit, let's maybe if we just cut, let's just go through and just add some cuts in. Okay, so what we're doing, we're cutting on the first frame of each new one. Okay, so this is them sitting close up. So where's the first frame of the guy tying up here? So let's I'm pressing C to bring up the razor option. Now I'm going to click cut there. Okay, so yeah, that's correct. Okay, so then let's go to the next shot. Okay, so let's wonderful baked beans cooking. This food always played havoc with your system. Hello, Johnny. Can I help you?
Yeah, Mum is having a special Star Wars dinner. And
a Star Wars dinner? Yeah, we're doing a Star Wars lunch today, guys, because it's May the 4th.
And I didn't come down along.
I can't come down because I've just started a lesson recording. But could you bring any food up if that's okay? I'll say, Mummy, I'm so sorry because I've got a lot of lessons to record today. The perils of working at home. Okay, so I'm going to go to the last thing here, and then on the first frame of the next shot, I'm going to cut. So then the old shots like that. Okay, so we've got soldiers sitting down close up. We've got the tying up shot, and we've got baked beans. Okay, and first shot of the new thing, let's cut it. So then we've got our baked bean shot. And you see, guys, you just rinse and repeat. Let's do this in your own time or own speed, because I'm obviously going to be doing it all here now. So first shot, the new one. Okay, so we got the guy cooking, and then we got these guys eating. Man, it's really strange looking at some of these people. Like when you realise what happened to some of these people afterwards, like it's really, really sad. Okay, so yeah, these guys eating, then this guy's showering. Okay, so again, we're just cutting on the first frame of the next shot. Okay, so hopefully you're in the routine of doing this. Okay, then we've got guys kneeling down on patrol, and notice you sort of say it's like social distancing. There, we had to have a 2 meter space from us because it meant if somebody shot at you, they couldn't hit loads of you in one burst. And it meant if a bomb went off, because this area, Sangin, was the worst place for bombs. Like they would just bury bombs anywhere, and it was an absolute nightmare. So if a bomb went off, it wouldn't kill all of you in one go. It would only kill 1 or 2 of you. Yeah. So here's some combat. And actually, guys, something I'm going to do. I'm just doing this because you are hearing through my dodgy setup. Don't you do this? I'm just going to turn up the sound on this layer so you can hopefully hear stuff a little bit better. It's probably still quite soft for you. Oh, thank you, my love. That's amazing. Thank you. I think that's a Yoda sandwich with ears. That's awesome. So yeah, I think that you won't hear entirely clearly. Hopefully you can hear some of it. Yeah, I'm so sorry that this setup is what it is. Okay, so this is a bit of a longer clip. And now notice that we've got some sort of distortion going on here, and that's because the sort of radio would interfere with it. Okay, so let's just go to the end of this shot. And cut at the beginning of the new one. Okay, and then we've got a shot of a sniper firing. Now notice, guys, that I cut away before we see this guy's face properly, because the identity of snipers was often concealed. At this stage I think it's okay, but we would never show the face of snipers properly in our footage because they would sometimes suffer reprisals when they went home. Okay, so then actually we've got a weird thing going on here, because we've got this and then it cuts this one frame and then something else. That's probably an error from me, but I'm just going to go to the first frame of this shot and just cut there. So we've got this one, this is them discussing, then we've got some shooting going on. So I'm going to eat while we do this because I'm really hungry. I'm sorry. I would you probably don't want to hear me eating into the mic, but basically, guys, online teaching has been a killer because, as you know, well, I think you probably know, I'm only employed by Ravensbourne 3 days a week. But doing this, because I record the lectures all day Monday and prep the assets, then on Tuesday I'm available on Zoom for you guys. And then Wednesday I'm recording for Thursday's lectures. Then for Thursday I'm online again. And also on Thursday I'll record Friday's VFX lectures for second year. And then on Fridays I'm online. And then often for feedback and stuff like that, I'm working in the evenings and like very, very late doing stuff. So it's been really, really tough doing this online teaching stuff. Like it's taking a lot out of my my life and stuff. But it's fine because, you know, I like to do a good job. I like to give you guys the best value for money, because I know you're paying good money for this degree and it sucks we're all online right now, but I hope you don't mind me eating during this lesson because I've just got to try and fit in stuff where I can. Okay, so now we're moving on to the interview phase. So we're just going to cut out the interviews. Okay, so we just go to the first frame of the next one. Okay, here we go. Okay, so cut. And then let's go. It's really sad actually. This guy, and I'll show you. Yeah, he's not dead, but a couple of weeks after I filmed this interview with him, he trod on a mine in a doorway. And he got really, really, really messed up. This is him now. So you see, he lost an eye, part of his face. He lost some fingers. He lost both of his legs. So yes, it's really, really sad what happened to him. Yeah. So sorry, just going. Yeah, these guys got hit really badly. Like they had a few people die. Like Sangin was pretty much the worst place to be a soldier. Like, the Taliban, they were very efficient at what they were doing. Okay. Right. Yeah, this guy's not alive anymore now. It's so sad. Right. So we've cut out all the footage. And now we're going to just go through and make the rest of them subclips. Okay, so start with this one. I'm just going to do the keyboard shortcut now, which, as you saw on the menu, was Command U or Control U if you're on PC. And shoulders sitting, medium shot. Okay, the next one, tying string, I guess. I'll just call it string. Okay, next one. Cooking. Okay, next one. Now this is sort of this one obviously sort of follows on from this one directly. So I'm going to call this one cooking. CU close up, just so I can see that they sort of belong together. And then again, this would be probably part of the same sequence as well, because you've got someone cooking and you've got people eating. So let's go for eating now. Right, so over here we've got shower. Here we've got sort of this is oh, my bad. Sorry, I didn't. Oh, did I miss? Yeah, I missed one there. I'm so sorry. So let's just go back here. Okay, so first shot, the new thing, cut, and then this one I'm just going to. Sorry, here, yeah. So I'm going to call this. I'm going to call it Overwatch. He's sort of watching over, isn't he? Overwatch. This one is kneeling, not keenling, kneeling on patrol. This one is called, let's call this Combat 1. Okay, let's call this one Sniper. Let's call this one Pointing. Being very imaginative with my naming conventions here. Let's call this one Combat 2. And then, right, these are the interviews. So, let's call this guy John. John Int. Okay, I think this guy's name was Sam, so let's call this Sam Int. Then let's call this one Ricky Int. Oh, we keep doing import instead of Command U, which is rename. I think this guy's name was Rob. So Robert Int. And this guy's name, I'm not going to give you his real name because yeah, he's not alive anymore. Let's call him David. Okay, so David Int. Right. Okay. So. Right. So we've got all our footage in the patrol base file. Okay. So we've got everything good to go. Now, what I usually do at this point is when you're working on a documentary, you want to sort of get the spine or the skeleton of the story together. Obviously, if you're working on like a fiction film, you've got the script already ready to go. But with a documentary, sometimes you've got an idea in mind, but other times you don't. And imagine that in this situation, you've been given, like, here's your footage, turn it into something, and you're like, okay, I wasn't there in the shot. I've given you a bit of context, but not much. This film, this little video is going to be about the process, or sorry, what it's like to live at the base. And so what I usually do when I'm doing this, I first just get like a text document up. So I've just got one over here, okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to delete everything here, and I'm just going to bring up all the interviews to start with, okay. So I'm going to bring up John through to David, and just bring them up here, okay. And I'm just going to listen to them, okay, because what we want to do, we want to just sort of, if I was doing this properly, I'd write out word for word what they say. But just for the sake of this lesson, I'm just going to do a rough summary. So let's listen to John to start with.
To be honest, it's quite frequent.
Hopefully you guys can hear this okay. I'm going to be a little bit cheeky here. I'm just going to right click on these. Right click. And this is, guys, how is another way to turn up the sound. If you go to audio gain, adjust gain by 5. Just turn it up. Now, if you ever want to see the waveforms, if you hold down your command, I think control on PC, and scroll up, like using your wheel or 2 fingers, over the word A1. So you see this now? Sorry, it's not command or control. It's not command. It's hold the Alt or Option button over A1 and then scroll up, and you see that then you can actually see far more. Now, actually, I should be able to see the waveform there. I don't know why I can't see the waveform. That might be a little bug in my Premiere, because that should show you the waveform. So try that, and hopefully that should work for you. But anyway, let's listen to what he has to say. Oh, sorry, and this is how you boost up the sound as well. You could also grab, you see these white lines, and move them up like that. You see that it's going up into the decibels. Obviously, that's the sound. But let's see if this is.
To be honest, it's quite frequent, quite often. It's range of.
Okay, so I'm just going to right click and boost this gain up against audio gain, adjust gain by another 5.
From RPGs to small arms fire as well. When sometimes it's quite accurate, as I say.
Okay, yeah. It's probably not super clear for you guys, but hopefully you can hear a little bit. And I'll summarise what you're saying afterwards as well.
To be honest, it's quite frequent, quite often. It's ranging from RPGs to small arms fire as well. And sometimes it's quite accurate, as the same as I already know, and as we know when we're going out on patrols as well. So I'd say pretty much every day you get about 4 contacts day in, day out.
Okay, so John is talking about combat. He's saying it's frequent, it's every day, we're getting hit 4 times a day. When he says contact means contact with the enemy. So John is basically saying lots of combat every day. Okay, so that's useful. Right, let's go on to Sam.
Well, it's dusty. If it's not dusty when the rain comes down, it's muddy. Go to the toilet in a tin and burning it isn't the best of pleasures, but apart from that, life's not too bad.
Since the boys have been here, we've grafted for.
Hang on, did I? I'm so sorry. I've done something very wrong with this with these interviews. I've got my Sam one is both Ricky and Sam, and then Ricky is both Sam and Ricky. So we'll just cut those. I'm so sorry. But anyway, Sam is talking about the conditions. Okay, so conditions of living at base. And notice he's smiling. Okay, this is quite a light-hearted interview compared to John's beforehand. So it's just worth bearing in mind. And then let's go to Ricky here. I'm so sorry that I messed up with that. Basically, guys, like every time I teach this, it gets a little bit harder to teach. And I'm at the stage now where I don't think I'm going to use this file again because as soldiers come back from war, many of them suffer issues, and I know in America more of them have died upon coming home from killing themselves than died in the war. I don't know if that's the same in the British Army, but every time, because I've done this lesson, this is the second year I'm doing it, but man, it's a lot harder this year to do it than last year. So I don't think next year for the new freshers I'll maybe use this footage because it's a bit painful. But yeah, sorry. So let's do. So I've cut Ricky's interview to be as long as it should be. Sorry, and I'll trim Sam's as well. You see, I'm moving my cursor over so it goes red, and then you can just drag it back like that to the last bit of Sam's interview. Okay, so yeah, let's listen to what Ricky has to say.
Since the boys have been here, we've grafted for a good week or so. As you can see around us now, we've got high HESCOs, temporary showers, toilets, and lads have built little cookers with hexy and stone, to be honest, but yeah, it ain't too bad now.
Okay, so Ricky's talking about they had to work hard when they got there. So we're thinking, okay, so what shot could we use when he's talking about working hard? Well, maybe we could use this shot of the string being tight. And he talks about cooking and he talks about showers. Yeah, great, we got all that, fantastic. Now, when he says that we got HESCOs, let me just show you what HESCOs are. HESCOs are these things. They're basically like flat packs of like just metal grate, and you can unpack them to form a cube shape, and then you fill them with dirt or sand, and they'll stop bullets. They'll even stop RPGs as well. Whoever invented HESCOs is absolutely laughing because it's such a simple product, and yet it is in every war zone that you see. Like HESCO is everywhere now. So whoever invented HESCOs has made a lot of money. Okay, so let me just write what Ricky's summary is. We worked hard and now have cookers and showers. It's okay. Right, let's listen to Robert.
Well, the idea is to push further east away from Sangin and close up the gap between Sangin and Inkerman and allow us and the local nationals greater freedom of movement at 611.
Okay, so Robert is saying that they're east of Sangin. Okay, so Sangin's there. Yeah, the base was about here, and there was another base up around here called Fob Inkerman, and the aim was to sort of free up the 611, which is this road, and make it a bit more secure. Okay, so what Robert's really talking about here is the point of them being here. Okay, so why are they actually here? And that's always good because it helps the audience to understand actually what's the point of this. You know, if people are going to lose their lives and stuff, what purpose is this serving? And then finally, David.
Most of the time, you're on your toes, and then all of a sudden it'll kick off. You'll go racing to your stand to positions, and it's sporadic, but quite fun.
Okay, so notice he's talking about combat here. Okay, so he's saying like it will suddenly kick off. So that's another good combat one. So combat kicking off, and he's almost slightly guilty at the end when he says it's quite fun.
But quite fun.
Okay, so I've just got that down. Now it's interesting again. This was I shot this at almost at the beginning of their time there, and it was before they started to take a lot of losses. So towards the end, they wouldn't have probably spoken like this. It was quite fun and stuff because it got very bad for them. But yeah. Okay, so we've got our rough sort of voiceover plan now. So let's just separate them a bit. So we've got the interviews plan. Let's plan out our story structure. So we've got combat, we've got conditions of the base, we've got why we're here, and then... sorry, I got quite fun there. Right, so if you... Just think now. Okay, I'll give you the answer of what I think in a second. But think now, if you were making this for web, and you wanted people to be grabbed by this straight away, what would you start with? Firstly, which bit of footage do you think would be good to start with, and then which interview? I would probably say combat. Why? Because remember that people's attention spans are very short these days, and if you don't, there's the old rule of YouTube or online video that if you haven't grabbed them within 5 seconds, like, you've lost them. So I would start with combat. Okay. Now, you could probably let's say we'll go for, let's number them. So let's just listen to John's again.
To be honest, it's quite frequent, quite often. It's ranging from RPGs to small arms fire as well.
Okay, and then let's listen to David again.
Time you're on your toes, and then all of a sudden they'll kick off.
I think that's actually a really good one to start with. Okay, so let's say 1 for David. Okay, and we can maybe go back to David for later on, but just that kick-off bit, that we really want that bit. And then we could maybe have a bit of John's one in as well, okay? And then it makes sense to say, okay, but actually this are the conditions of the base, this is where we're living, it's tough. But then Ricky can be like, yeah, it's tough, but we worked hard and now we've got some good stuff. And then of course, why are we actually here? All of this pain and suffering and combat, why are we here? So in terms of a story structure, I'd say this probably works, something like this. Okay, so get the audience interested, then explain. Now, you could do it differently. You could actually say, okay, so get the audience interested, then you could say, well, actually, why are we here? What are we doing here? And then you could say, and this is the conditions we've got to live in. It's completely up to you how you do it. There isn't a right or wrong option. Of course, it just needs to be communicated to the audience. The audience need to come away from this video understanding what you're trying to get across. Now, of course, if you were working with a journalist, they would write a script around these things. So you'd say something like Sangin, Afghanistan. Soldiers from they're from Four Rifles. Four Rifles come under fire for the 4th time that day, and you'd be going bang, 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 and you'd be having someone doing a voiceover. Okay, and you'd write a script around their interviews, then record the voiceover. Obviously, when we were over there, we didn't have sound booths to record voiceover in, so literally you'd grab the microphone, grab the camera, plug the microphone into the camera, go and hide under your bed sheets, I'm not joking, or your sleeping bag, and record your voiceover in there, so at least it wasn't echoey. And the sound of the airplanes flying overhead or the air conditioning was a lot quieter. It was a very rough setup, but it was great. It was probably the best 3 years of my life. So let's sort of cut roughly to this idea. Now, we're not going to cut the whole thing. We'll cut some of it and see how we do, and then you guys can finish the rest of it yourself, and then go on to Murder Holes, and I'll give you a little introduction about things to consider with Murder Holes. Okay. So, I'm going to actually maybe just keep these. I'm just going to move them off to the right-hand side like this. Okay. And then let's work out what's going to be our introductory shot. Now, we've got... Remember, we're starting with combat, so... let's have a look. So this is quite a good one, maybe to start off with. So he's sort of running over. So he's saying, give me some direction. It's clear that firefight's just started and he's wanting to know what direction they're shooting from. So, I'm so sorry I feel very unprofessional doing this, but hopefully you understand. Right, so let's start with this shot. Okay, if you want to, you can start with this shot, because this shot's pretty cool as well. I remember I was just lying on the ground at this stage. I didn't know where the fire was coming from. But if you hear that boom. That was an RPG. The guy had an RPG. He jumped out of the alleyway with it aimed at us. But as he went to fire, one of the snipers nailed him. And as he was falling backwards, he fired. And I think it hit a wall or something. That's why the boom wasn't close to us, because he got killed basically. And as he was going down, he fired it. So you can choose to start with either. I'm going to start with this one, combat. I'm going to start with combat 1. Okay. So I'm going to just give a quick look, and I'm going to decide where I'm going to start from, because it's a bit rubbish. The picture is a bit rubbish to start with. So maybe start here. I'm going to press I on the keyboard. Now notice this bright grey line appears. Okay, right, so that's cool. And actually, guys, I've messed up again, because these should really be 2 separate shots. I think we can just leave them cut together for now. But I'm sorry, I should have separated them. Right, so let's press O there. Okay, so I pressed I for the in point, O for the out point. I'm going to drag it in, and that will just drag in this. If I press plus on the timeline to zoom in, this just drags in this specific bit. Okay, now you can choose to fade in if you want. You can hover the cursor over where it's red and do apply default transitions. Guys, obviously I know all of you pretty much know how to use this, so when this isn't a this is what cut does and stuff type lesson. I thought you get the most value out of this when you're actually making decisions, creative storytelling decisions. I think that's where you get the most value out of this. So, well, at least in previous years, people have always enjoyed this, so hopefully you guys will as well. Okay, so you can fade up if you want to, or if it was a web video, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just go straight into it, because, again, every second in those first 5 seconds counts. Right, so that's what I'm about doing now. Oh, that's painful. So we got a good sort of soundbite in there saying, "Give me some direction." Okay. Now it's really annoying. I cannot see my waveforms. Just check that. Show your waveforms. Where is it? I should be seeing my waveforms right now, and I can't see them. But hopefully you will see your waveforms. Right. So we're gonna go for. Give me some direction. So after you say give me some direction, I think that's where we should bring in the sound of someone talking. Now, just in terms of who goes first, another argument, and this is really cynical, guys, but another argument for maybe having John first. John's a good-looking guy. Okay, we all know that's the elephant in the room here. John is a good-looking guy, and therefore, if you want to grab people, maybe put somebody who's eye candy up first. Again, it's a very cynical way of thinking. But it's the world we live in. Okay, that's why many of the big movie stars are very good looking, because it attracts people. So if you want to go for John first, you can do, but I'm going to go for David first because I prefer a soundbite. So this is what David says.
Most of the time, you're on your toes, and then all of a sudden it'll kick off.
Okay, so that's really good, because this guy is actually on his toes as he's running, if you like. So okay, so I'm going to click that, and then we've got the bit we want, so I'm going to zoom out again and just drag it back over here and put it in position. Now, what we of course want is, after they say give me some direction, we want to hear David start talking. Okay, so I'm going to actually drag the combat footage up one layer, and the sound, let's zoom out slightly, sorry. Actually, sorry, I'm going to shrink this layer down again. So I'm going to hold down Alt and Option, just scroll down. There we go. And I'm just going to move this out. Okay. Just seeing. I'm basically like, I can't remember how to show the waveform again, and I think there's something I'm doing wrong, but I can't remember. I will in a second just check, but you guys should be seeing it. I think I've messed up my settings somehow. Right, so okay, so give me some direction. Finish about there. So we want to bring in David's interview here. Okay, so let's give that a try.
Most of the time, you're on your toes. And then
okay, so that's actually quite nice. So this is again sort of a J cut, if you like, because we hear David before we see him. Okay, so this is a J cut, and what we're going to be doing is sort of trying to blend this footage as much as possible to make it really feel like it is flowing. Okay. Right. Okay. So let's just see what it says. So
most of the time you're on your toes, and then all of a sudden they'll kick off.
okay. Also, sorry guys, I'm just seeing this. Okay, the plot thickens. So to show your waveform, you click on the spanner, right, and you go to show your waveform. However, mine is selected and I can't see it. So I think it's a little bug with my Premiere or something. I don't know what's going on. Let's just double check. Yeah. I don't know what is going on here. I'm so sorry, but you will hopefully not have this problem. Okay. So let's just listen to it. So
Most of the time.
now notice it's quite windy where David's being interviewed, so you might want to add a little fade in on him. Now, guys, if you ever want to just add a fade to just the audio and not the video, there's two ways you can do it. You can either separate these two layers and then apply it to just the audio, or the easy way is just to do this. Right click, apply default transition, which creates the default transition, which is a cross dissolve, and then just click on the video cross dissolve and press delete. Okay, so now the audio will fade out. Now this is about 1 second, which is the default length, which is quite long, so you might want to just move your cursor to the end where it's red and just scale it down a bit to maybe be 10 frames. You see the duration on the right hand side there, it's 10 frames. So now press play.
Most of the time.
Good. That's far less, but it is far less like jarring because it doesn't instantly come in. So
Your toes, and then all of a sudden they'll kick off.
okay, so all of a sudden it will kick off. It's asking for us to cut back to some shooting. So let's just see. Is there any shooting going on? So this is a guy talking on the radio. Not ideal. We want some bang bangs. So now we could use some Combat 2 here, but the problem is by doing Combat 2, we are using all of our best, most exciting footage first. So you might not want to do that. So what I could do is there any other combat footage? I don't think so. What I'm going to do then is use a sniper shot. Okay. And just go, you don't really want him to be pulling away, so maybe something like that. Or he starts to pull away a little bit, but we don't want him like sitting down again, maybe. So something like that. So I'm pressing I and O to mark the in and out points, so I'm dragging that in. And again, let's do an L cut, so before he's entirely finished, we see the sniper. So let's just see.
All of a sudden they'll kick off. All of a sudden they'll kick off.
Cool. And then let's maybe just get a bit more of the atmosphere going in there. So go back to Combat 1, and you see here we got somebody talking to a radio. So press I to set the in point. Listen to what he says. He's saying 4-2 Bravo, we got fire coming in quite close to us. And they're now observing. So let's drag that in and just drop it about there. Notice again I'm doing a very slight J cut. Okay, so the audio's coming before we hear it. It just helps to blend it in a little bit more. I'm again just going to add a little bit of a fade in there just to help it not be as jarring, and of course I'll do the same here, but make sure you do delete the video because otherwise the video will be fading in over it, which is not what you want at all.
Kick off.
4-2 Bravo, Roger. We had incoming coming quite close to us and towards the Sangers. Obviously, we returned fire and snipers now observing over.
Okay, so that's a nice little introduction, and I think anybody that is interested in this sort of thing at this stage will be grabbed. Now let's add the name tag for David. So what we're going to do up here, I don't know how many, most of you probably use the text function in Premiere, but if you go up here to graphics, new layer, and choose text, okay, it creates a new text layer. So then let's go, think about rule of thirds. If he's this way facing the camera, I think it'd be good maybe to have the text down here like that. Now to adjust the text, just double click on it and go to effect controls, and you see here there's graphics and text. You click the text drop down arrow to choose the font. I don't think Mini and Pro is an appropriate font for this. Go for anything that you think looks good. You could do the old classic stencil, which is have I got stencil on my computer? I don't know if I've got it. It's the very tacky standard military format that everyone uses, so try not to use stencil. I'm just going to choose, oh no, that's like a meme font. I'll just go for a normal one like this, Thornbury. You go for what you want, guys. Choose whether you want it bold or what. You can change the colour of it if you want to. I think white is generally quite a good idea. Now, of course, when you've got white text, sometimes it can be, if you've got something white in the background, of course, it can be quite hard to see. So if you're having issues with your text being visible, just click shadow here to turn on the drop shadow, and you can change different settings here, so how far the shadow is away. Now notice, guys, my drop shadow is actually grey, and it's actually lighter than the background behind it, which is not what you want. So I'm going to go here, and we just want to sort of make the shadow, I'm going to click on this colour here, okay, and just click on black, basically, or very dark grey. And now you see is actually functioning as a shadow should function. You can change the size of the shadow and the distance from so that's the size, sorry, and then the distance from the area, like that one, and also how like sharp and blurry it is. Okay, so yes, that's the distance there, and then it's the scale of the shadow, and then it's the blurriness. So yeah, just get it. You don't want it like too extreme, but just so it's clearly visible. Of course, the opacity of the shadow is this top one, so that's like really dark, and then it's very transparent like that. So just have a little go at that, and then once you're done, just click on the text layer itself, and you see this text, this type tool should automatically select. If it doesn't, just click on it and then click on your text, and let's call this Jamie. Okay, and then if you want to add some sort of wipe going in, you can just go for video transitions and wipe, and just wipe and stick a wipe in. So these are all like transitions here, so you can just grab the wipe and drop it on Jamie like that, so then this thing will wipe in like that. Okay, so it's a bit nicer than it just appearing. Okay, and then you decide when you want it out, so something like that. Now remember, guys, with text, and I think I said this in the After Effects lecture, that whenever you have text on screen, bearing in mind there might be people reading it who do not speak English as a first language, make sure you can read it out loudly, slowly, and that should be okay. Okay, so play Jamie. Okay, so that's about fine. So we can finish that there, and then just add wipe back in for the end. So now
on your toes,
wipes in,
and then
wipes out. Okay, so that's cool. Now, if you want to like just use this as sort of a template, you can very easily just copy and paste it. Now, for example, I might copy this and then paste it in here. Now, guys, whenever you're going to paste stuff in Premiere, notice that these are blue, okay, which means it's this one here, the source patching for inserts and overwrites. So if I was to paste this now, notice it be pasted into V1. If I was to deselect that and put V2 and click there and paste, notice, oh sorry, it's I think it's that you got to do there. So now it gets pasted into V2. Okay, I think it's this one as opposed to that one. I'm so sorry, it's not. I keep that one as it is. Yeah, so whichever one of these is blue, guys, is where it gets pasted into. So I usually have text on a different layer above everything else, so I can easily turn it on and off, because sometimes if you're doing some sort of export for international media, they don't want your text on it, so you can just disable it by turning off the I button here, which means that your text, even though we should see it now, we can't see it. Okay, so I'm going to paste that in here, and I'm going to change this one to Sangin, comma, Afghanistan. Okay, now in the old Premieres, if you ever used to copy and paste like this and you changed one because they were the same one, it would change the other one as well, but luckily it doesn't do this now. Okay, so Sangin, Afghanistan, and again, it's useful, guys, for a documentary to set the scenes just so people know where they are.
Most of the time, you're on your toes, and then all of a sudden it'll kick off.
14 Bravo, Roger, we had incoming coming quite close to us and towards the Sangers. Obviously, we returned fire and snipers now observing over.
Okay, so we're still on the theme of combat, so maybe let's get in John's, just see if John's got anything good that we can take.
To be honest, it's quite frequent, quite often. It's ranging from RPGs to small arms fire as well, and sometimes it's quite accurate, as the sailors already know, and as we know when we're going out on patrols as well. So.
Okay, so he sort of loses his way a little bit here, so let's see where we can cut early.
It's quite frequent, quite often. It's ranging from RPGs to small arms fire as well, and
Okay, so I quite like
far as well. Then.
small as far as well, but he then says "anna," so let's see if we can adjust that. So I'm going to cut that and take this bit of him talking and let's drag it back. Okay, so if we want to, we can get another J cut going on here. So this would be, because notice you could like drag this up, but actually we want this to be under the sniper one, remember. So what we can do with John is if you drag his audio down one layer, okay, and then we're going to unlink him. So right click and go to unlink, and then we can shorten his face, or sorry, the video layer. I'm so sorry, guys. The video layer, and then you can sort of drag it like that. So then you see it actually looks more like a J cut because it's like there, down, and then left. So let's just see if this works because he might be over talking this guy on the radio.
To be honest, it's quite frequent.
Yeah, it's not ideal. So let's just give it something like that. Okay. And then I'm going to stretch this clip out to be as far as it can be. So let's just give that a go.
To be honest, it's quite frequent. Quite often.
Yeah, it's alright. It's slightly overclipped, but I think that's okay.
To be honest, it's quite frequent. Quite often. It's ranging from RBGs to small arms fire as well.
Oh, so extend that slightly, sorry.
Fire as well, innit?
Okay, so now we want to maybe let's have like a shot which calms things down a bit. So if we maybe go for this one and we'll just work out where our in and out points are. So you see they're pointing and they turn and look. I love that bit where he turns and looks. So if we just go for that, so in here, out there, and just drag that down, and again let's put that above John so we can then sort of remove this troublesome and bit at the end of his interview.
As well, innit?
Okay.
Fire as well, innit?
Okay, so you see it's well. Now when he says well, what you want to do is just fade out the audio here. Now to do this, guys, if you again press the Alt or Option button and scroll up A2 or whichever layer your track of him is in, and zoom in. Now if you press P, do you remember the old pen tool? It's like After Effects. You can click here to create a point. You see I've created a point on timeline, and then you can click here and drag it down. Now what this is doing, this is showing your audio volume. So what you're doing, you're just fading out. Okay, so you listen to it, and again I know it's hard to hear because of the speakers and stuff.
Fire as well,
Okay, so
fire as well.
we're not getting the bit, but we're still getting the and. So let's just bring it forward a little bit like that, and then just drag that down so it fades even earlier. Let's try that.
Fire as well.
There you go.
Fire as well.
Small arms far as well. Stops talking. Okay, so this pen tool is really useful, particularly if there's like a difficult sound that you just don't like. You just need to get, somebody hits the mic and there's no other soundtrack. You can just let's say there was like a spike in sound. And again, I'm so sorry you can't see waveforms. It's very frustrating. But let's say that here there is like a clip. Oh, I saw like a ghost of a waveform there. It's really weird. Let's say there's like a clip here that's too loud. Okay, the way to get rid of it is I'll just zoom in so you can see. You click points either side of it. Okay, imagine my waveform here is like spiking up. You'll see it on your waveforms hopefully, and then you can just click and drag down like that. Okay, and that means it would fade out. And just listen to what this does to his voiceover. Oh, it's because it's one frame you can't hear it. I'll make it slightly bigger, just so you can really hear what happens. It's like you're dipping the sound out basically. Okay, do you see like it goes silent in that bit? So it's really useful for just if you ever want to sort of just manually get rid of bits, but make sure you've got wild tracking or something behind it, because otherwise your entire film will just go silent and the audience will notice it. Okay, so now we're sort of trying to transition into the more peaceful bit. Again, if I was doing this with a journalist, we'd have voiceover saying, this is a patrol base Blenheim where combat happens every day. This is a tough base, blah, 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 whatever. So then let's go for clips of somebody talking. Now, what was our order? Sam, conditions of living in the base. So let's go to Sam here.
Well, it's it's dusty. If it's not dusty when the rain comes down, it's muddy. Go to the toilet in a tin and burning it isn't.
Now notice, guys, we got a jump cut here. Do you see this? So we got to make sure if we're going to go for his voiceover straight up, his interview straight up, we've got to put something over that to cover the jump cut. It doesn't look good.
Burning it isn't the best of pleasures, but apart from that, life's not too bad.
Cool. Okay, so I'm really happy with that clip. Let's copy it. So yeah, this is another way, guys. You can just copy and then put it down to V1 for paste and just paste it in there. That's probably an easy way of dragging it. Okay, so let's get J-Cut going in. So again, we hear Sam before we see him. And sorry, I haven't been keeping up with my my audio fade, so let's just do that here as well. And just reduce it to 10 frames.
To be honest, it's quite.
Cool, that's good. Really, guys, you should also fade out as well. I know I haven't been doing it, but you should. Oh, you should try and fade out. So particularly if you're going from very noisy to quiet,
To be honest,
it just makes it very smooth. And if people are listening with headphones, they'll really notice if you haven't done this. Okay, so I'll just add a fade into here as well. Okay, and then let's add a fade out. Okay, cool. Right, so let's go for Sam's interview. Again, going to add a little fade in and shrink it down to 10 frames. There we go. Right.
Well, it's dusty. If it's not dusty when the rain comes down.
Right, now hang on. Just think about what you're saying here.
Well, it's dusty.
I don't think we need any of that. Well, I think, and again, when you're cutting these things together, guys, think about how economical you can be with time and stuff. If someone's saying something that doesn't need to be said, get rid of it. Okay, so let's see.
It's dusty.
So if we start for it's dusty instead of it's dusty. So
It's dusty.
so let's start. I think about here. And again, the waveform. If I could see it, it could show me.
It's dusty.
Okay, so it's about here. So I'm going to cut there. I'm going to press the selection tool just to select this area, delete it, and move back. And add our trusty fades. Delete the visual, and then make this one 10 frames. Right. So now it should just be we didn't need that. Well, it's a bit.
It's dusty. If
Good.
it's not dusty when the rain comes down, it's muddy. Go to the toilet in a tin and burning it isn't the best of pleasures, but apart from that, life's not too bad.
Right. So
Muddy.
we've got a jump cut here. Now, ideally, we'd have a shot of people using a toilet, but we haven't. So he's saying it's dusty. So I think maybe this shot, because this looks really bleak, this shot, doesn't it, of this poor Afghan soldier walking along. So maybe let's use this. So I'm just going to drag some of that. That's all good. And now actually, guys, I don't even want the audio from this shot. I just want to see it over the interview of Sam. So I'm going to just drag the video footage and just drop it like that. So you see it's going over the point where Sam cuts.
See when the rain comes down, it's muddy. Go to the toilet in a tin and burning it isn't the best of pleasures.
Now this isn't an ideal cutaway because we're not seeing rain and we're not seeing toilet, and really we should be cutting to something related to what he's saying, but just to make it work. Let's see.
It's dusty. If it's not dusty when the rain comes down, it's muddy.
Yeah,
go
it's
to the
okay. It's not
toilet
amazing,
in a
but
tin and
are you guys seen Chernobyl? You know the thing that Dyatlov says. He's one of the characters. It's become a bit of a meme, and Rob and I use it all the time now. You know, when he's looking at the readings of the thing and he says, not great, not terrible. And that's what Rob and I use, like, whenever we're talking. I would never grade your works in terms of memes, but you know the Michael Fassbender, like, perfection meme. I want to have 3 memes. I want to have perfection, not great, not terrible, and I only think up a bad meme. And that would be an easy way of giving feedback. I could just post the meme in response to your work. But no, I wouldn't do that.
It's not dusty when the
So
rain
yeah, this is not great, not terrible. It's not the best cutaway, but it covers the jump cut at least.
Go to the toilet in a tin and burning it isn't the best of pleasures, but apart from that, life's not too bad.
Cool. It finishes nice and positive. Also, we're a bit behind on the old graphics, so let's go back and do them. Also, I noticed that this one is in video layer 3 and it shouldn't be in video layer 3, so I'm just going to drag that down to video layer 2. Okay, so let's copy this and go for John. Paste. Oh, no, why is it pasting in there? Because blue V1 is selected. Put it in V3. There we go. Okay, so let's click on this, and I'm going to press T to go to the type tool. Select it, and John. There we go.
to be honest, it's quite frequent, quite often. It's ranging from RPGs to small arms fire as well.
It's dusty. If it's not dusty when the rain comes down, it's muddy. Go.
Right. So the question with something like this, right, is where do you put the title in? Do you put it in as soon as he's up, and then his name? If I just do it now, his name will be over the Afghan soldier, over the cutaway, which just, of course, does not look right.
Dusty.
So the question is,
when the rain comes down.
what do you do? Do you either try and move the Afghan soldier to be as far as possible before we get the jump cut? So let's have a little look.
If it's not dusty when the rain comes down,
Where does he?
it's muddy.
Okay, so he jumps there. So actually, maybe we could just put the Afghan soldier over the jump cut like that. But notice the graphic is still a little bit too long. So you can choose. Either you shrink the graphic down a bit, or, just to undo, you could actually put his title after the cutaway. Entirely up to you. But again, it's good to sort of have established set of rules, maybe if you're doing a series of these, about how you will handle voiceover like that, or how would you handle a voiceover clip that's only 3 seconds long. And having an established standard will mean that when those tough decisions come, you will actually know what you're doing with it. Okay.
Best of pleasures, but apart from that, life's not too bad.
Okay, so now let's have a look at their life. He said life's not too bad. Let's look at their life. So I think the next one that would be good would be Ricky talking. I loved my Star Wars lunch. One of the sandwiches like has 2 grapes on it, like eyes, with lettuce leaves sticking out of the ears, like Yoda. Okay, so yeah, let's go to Ricky and get in what he's saying here. So
Since the boys have been here, we've grafted for a good week or so. As you can see around us now, we've got hot discos, temporary showers, toilets, and lads have built out little cookers with hexy and stone, to be honest. But yeah, it ain't too bad now. We'll do what.
cool. So let's grab Ricky. Let's copy him, and let's move him back here. Because obviously, what Ricky's saying really does follow on straight from. Sorry, I should have pasted that into V1. Straight on from what Sam is saying.
Life's not too bad.
Now, of course, we really would like something between them. We just don't want just talking head. So let's see what we can get on. So what does Ricky start by saying?
Since the boys have been here, we've grafted for.
Okay, so we've been grafting, we've been working. So let's get the string. That's the best footage I've got of in this file of people working. Again, I don't want the sound from this. I'm just going to grab the video. So you see I'm going to click on this film strip and drag it down. Like that. Okay.
Life's not too bad.
Since the boys have been here, we've grafted for a good week or so. As you can see around us now, we've got high HESCOs.
Now, actually, because we need to see who's talking, and also it's good because the HESCOs are actually high and around him, so it's probably good just to keep the HESCOs there as he's talking about it and not cut away. So let's just do Ricky's name. Again, sorry, I should have done a crossfade here as well, so sorry, I keep forgetting to do that. You can see, guys, I don't edit that much anymore. Most of my industry work is After Effects. Animations and stuff like that. I do very little editing these days. It's funny though. I discovered a hard drive the other day which had like hours and hours of my old Afghanistan footage, and I've got some really good stuff there. So I'm wondering about whether to like go back and do like a 10 years on video, just about what it was about, reflecting on it. Yeah, maybe I'll see. I haven't got time at the moment. Now I've been a bit dumb here because I keep getting this wrong. I pasted the graphics layer into V1, so I could either press undo a lot, but then I need to redo this audio, so I'm just going to be a bit lazy. I'm just going to drag it up here and then just stretch Ricky back out again to fill the space, but it does mean there is now a cut in Ricky, which is not ideal. Now Ricky's on the left hand side of the frame looking to right. It looks a bit unbalanced with the name being this side, so let's actually grab it and move it over this side. Okay, and we're going to press T for the text button, select it and type Ricky. Now, if you wanted to, guys, with this text, if you wanted it to, because notice when I type, it's going towards the right end of the frame. If you justified it to the right like this is when you type, it will keep going that way. So it's always, I know this is like basic word processor usage, but it's useful if you're going to do that to maybe have the left one set up that way. Okay, right, so here we go.
As you can see around us now, we've got high HESCOs, temporary showers, toilets, and lads have built out little cookers with.
Okay, so cookers, and here we're seeing him for what? So we cut to him at 39:17. The most you really want to keep somebody on screen for is 10 seconds. You don't want to, because it gets boring after that. unless they're saying something completely groundbreaking. So what you want to do now is let's go to our cooking. So, and now this is a sequence. Remember, we've got the cooking here, we've got the close up, and we've got people eating. Okay, so let's go for this first. Okay, so something like that. And again, people are talking in the background. We don't want that to disrupt Ricky's interview. Although, actually, we might do, because if we start dragging this in and Ricky runs out of time, then we're going to need some sound in there. So actually, I'm going to keep the sound in there. And then let's get the cutaway here. So, no, obviously, see someone's face, hands in the way, arms in the way there. So something like that. Okay, let's drag that in there. And then let's have the result of that, the payoff, if you like, people eating. Okay.
Temporary showers, toilets, and
Oh, sorry, guys. You can't actually see because my screen's in the way. I'm so sorry.
lads
Here you
built
go.
little cookers with hexi and stuff.
Now, I do like having that sound in the background of their stuff, but it's a little bit loud. So you see the line here. I'm just going to go up to it and just move it down about -5 decibels. You could right click and do audio gain again and turn it down that way, but I'm just going to do it this way. Okay, and sorry, I haven't been keeping up with it. The old audio fades.
Lads have built little cookers with hexi and stones, to be honest, but it ain't too bad now.
Cool. Okay, and then get rid of that video one and make this one a bit shorter as well. Okay, so while they're eating, maybe now's the time to have Charlie actually explaining what they're doing there, okay? Because that leads us on to our next point. So, just going back to our script, you see... sorry, not Charlie, Robert. Got his name mixed up. So, Robert saying, why are we here? Because we've had all the others, haven't we? So, yeah, let's go back to Robert. Where are you, Robert? There you are. So, let's copy and paste him. Right here. I'm getting Charlie mixed up. There's a really cool Australian guy there called Charlie. He was actually a very dear friend of mine. We've stayed in contact since then. Because those guys were similar rank, I got mixed up for a second now.
Well, the idea is to.
Okay, so notice again we're doing a J cut. We're having Robert start speaking while we're seeing the guys eating. We're just getting it to flow as much as possible. Okay.
Well, the idea is to.
Let's of course fade him up. Okay.
Well, the idea is to push further routes to.
And of course we need his name. So copy and paste. Oh, naughty Josh. V3 selected. Now I paste. And I'm going to... Actually, I'll tell you what, because Ricky's reorganised, let's just get rid of that and just pick one that was already to the left. So I'm going to take the one from Sam and just copy that one. Okay. So there we go. Press T for the text tool. Select it and... Robert. There we go.
And close up the gap between Sang and Inkerman.
Right, so he's talking about their mission. Okay, what they're doing. So let's look for mission type stuff. You know, they're closing up a gap. They're providing protection. So maybe this shot is good because they're sort of providing protection in this shot. So let's grab it. I'm just going to grab the video from this and drop that in there, and then maybe this kneeling on patrol shot. And I'm gonna show both of the have both of these because yeah, you see that obviously once Robert's interview runs out, we can hear some sound. I will turn the sound down though, like that. Okay, and then add a little fade in. Okay, so let's give that a go.
And allow us and the local nationals greater freedom of movement at 611.
Ah, now, hang on a sec. He said us and local nationals. Okay, this is about local people. Now, question, have I got a shot of local people in this one? No, I haven't. Now, if you really wanted to, import the Murder Holes footage, because in Murder Holes, there is a good shot of local civilians. You see, where are they? Here we go. Okay. Yeah, so if you wanted to, you could grab that shot and put it in. I'm going to leave this as it is for now, but just an FYI. Okay, so Robert said his bit.
Well, the idea is to push further routes
Oh, sorry.
between Sang and Inkerman.
Oh, was that a little...
Further routes away from Sangan and close up the gap between Sangan and Inkerman and allow us and the local nationals greater freedom of movement at 611.
Cool. Okay, so that's perfect. Now, again, guys, if you wanted to, I'm not saying do this for this lesson because it's a lot of work. But if you wanted to practice during the old map thing in After Effects, you type in Sangin and show the 611 and take a screenshot of that and do the map thing, tracing the line of the 611. You could do. Just up to you. You're creatively thinking about how you can do different things. Right. Okay. So that's done, and then finally, let's just get a quote from Jamie to finish us off. And not Jamie Bennett. Basically, guys, there was like 15 different soldiers in the base here, and I keep getting their names mixed up. I think Jamie is in Murder Holes. Let's just check. Look at the. Yes, yeah, okay, yeah, sorry. So, okay, keep getting mixed up with the names. So, let's just see what David says here.
You'll go racing to your stand 2 positions, and it's sporadic, but quite fun.
So I might finish with it's sporadic, but quite fun. Okay, so what we need to stick in between here and there, I'm just going to paste that in position, okay, is to have that other, let's finish with on a high note, let's get that other bit of combat in as well. Okay, so we've gone to combat 2. A lot of action now. It's good, good, good. Okay, and we definitely want the sound effects on this one, so I'm just going to make sure there's enough space and drag it in.
611.
So I've also just put it in here so the sound starts to come in. Okay. No, actually, so I'm going to give a very slight gap there and then fade in the sound like that, so it's not trying to eat into Robert's layer. Okay. So then let's just get some nice combat going on. And of course, if we had journalists, we'd be saying the soldiers are engaged and never patrol, blah, 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 blah. And then let's add in David for a J-cut. Now, this is going to be another one where we actually unlink the footage and shrink down the video layer a bit and go for something like that. Okay, so let's give that a listen. I'll fade it in as well. What am I doing? There. It should be... Yes, there we go, sorry. Apply default and then delete that.
It's sporadic, but quite fun.
Okay, now really again, if you didn't have a voiceover or a bit of text saying soldiers come under regular fire, you like what's sporadic, what their mission, like what are you talking about? So if I had to do this without a journalist, I would go to text again, and I would actually if you look at the way that a lot of videos on social media operate nowadays, they do not have voiceover, because most people, when they're scrolling through their timelines, they're not watching it with voice on. So if I was to do something like that, I'll just show you how to set up sort of a layer for that. You'd put it like there. You'd go to your text layer up here, and you'd put it in the middle, so it's justified to the middle. You could put background in. So you see it's got like this, sorry, turn off shadow, turn on background. So you see it's got this like layer behind it. That's actually quite good. A lot of videos on social media you see will have that. You can make it bigger than the text. I recommend that. I've got it to about 20 there. You can make the background, of course, slightly darker if you so desire, like that. And then let's just move our text back to the middle again and type like soldiers come under fire again, whatever. Okay, just call it what you want. I'm just showing you how to do it, and then I'm just going to turn the size down a bit here because it's quite big, something like that. Okay, and then with text like this, you don't need to fade it in and out. Really, it's not really a convention to have it fading in and out. Okay, so that'd be how you do it. And then if you wanted to have another one, so let's cut it there. Okay, I'm going to copy it, make sure I'm in the correct paste layer, paste one afterwards, and then I'm going to call this one for the 4th time that day. Okay, so then give a little break just so you know the audience can clearly see that there is a new thing. When it flashes up, they can see they need to look at it again. But for the 4th time that day, cool.
It's sporadic, but quite fun.
Cool, so something like that. Okay, now really what you'd want to finish the piece with would be some sort of sunset shot of soldiers walking in a patrol. Like if this was them actually walking. Actually, no, let's work with what we got. So this is them looking tired. Okay, so let's start with a wide and then we'll punch in. So we'll go like that. Okay, and we'll drop that there. And then we'll go for the wides one. Okay, something like that. So what you could do is like copy and paste our trusty thing, and you could say like the conditions and stress, conditions and combat. Let's get some nice alliteration. Are let's say make for tiring work, and then I'm going to copy and paste that again. But for these soldiers, their 6-month tour, and that's what it's really weird. Like you think of tour like it's in holidays, but that's what a tour of duty is called. The tour is just beginning, full stop. And because that's obviously going outside of the thing, I'm gonna just move that up a bit like that. Okay, so again, notice that our sort of script into what's being said is matching with the images. So they're looking tired. Let's elaborate or accentuate that. I'm so sorry, guys. My head's really not in a clear way of thinking today. Right. So once you're done, fade out. And I know again I haven't done all the fade-ins, but you got the picture of how to do it. Cool. Okay, and that is your piece. Now, if you want to degrade it, go for it and use one of these as a reference layer. You notice that the blue and orange temperatures do change throughout this, so you'd have a good challenge of trying to grade it to get it all to match. But I'd say maybe it's a good idea to do that so that you can build on the grading we did earlier. So anyway, if you want to post this one underneath, go for it. What I recommend is don't post the MP4 because Owler might take ages to upload. Well, actually, I mean, it's a minute 20 seconds. If Owler's struggling to upload it, host it on YouTube and just unlisted, please. Actually, don't put it on YouTube. You can do. I mean, this stuff has been released to the international media, but if you're going to put it on YouTube, put it as unlisted, ideally, because not all these names are accurate. Okay, so it's better that this isn't public, just because the names as are inaccurate and stuff like that. So what I recommend is try and post it to Owler. If not, host it on Google Drive and share it and post the shared link in the comments below. However, let me just quickly talk you through murder holes. Okay, murder holes. So the way the Taliban would work is, I'm trying to find. Here we go. So in the walls, they would make a hole like this, and they would, when they knew we were out on the ground on a patrol, they would put their rifle through the hole and they would fire. And the soldiers would go out on patrols looking for murder holes, looking for people who knew about them. You see these metal detectors? They would have to like sweep every step we took to make sure that we weren't treading on a mine. Anyway, one day we go out, we climb out over the base wall, and we go out just so we weren't going out the main entrance because they were expecting us to go out the main entrance. And we go on a little trip to spray up murder holes. Now, the reason they were sprayed up is because when you look at them through a sniper scope from the base, you can clearly see, okay, yep, that's got spray paint around it, that's a murder hole. So you sort of know where to look at already. Now, as we're coming back, and actually, here's a really good example. We get shot at here, and if you look at this area, there's some murder holes here. You'll see the smoke hitting it. You see that? It's your tracer and smoke hitting it, so they're shooting it, trying to suppress the Taliban in there. Nice shots of kids and speaking to locals. Again, guys, please do not share this onto YouTube. This was given to international media and it's free, but I never like putting the faces of Afghans talking to coalition soldiers on public forums, because sometimes insurgents can watch them and take reprisals for even kill them for even doing it. It's never happened to any of my footage from what I know of, because we've always been very careful in how we do it. But please do not put this online, because yeah, it'd be awful if somebody had a reprisal, because remember, this is educational purposes for you to practice and nothing more. So this doesn't go into sharias or anything else. Okay. Right, so then as we're coming back from the patrol, we get sort of ambushed. We're lying down on the ground, bullets flying all around us. We've got some great stuff shouting and then we have to run over and climb over the fence, sandbag wall even, and then the snipers shoot at him. Then we have some interviews about it, and right here we got an interview actually with the sniper himself, okay, who says that he fired a shot through the hole, and this is actually the day I think they got somebody. So do exactly the same process, try and figure a story together based on who's saying what, okay, and then you're good to go. And then by all means post your story up afterwards, but like I said guys, just because of the time constraints I can't watch all of them. I'll probably watch a sample and get feedback on a sample. But I hope you enjoy. I'm gonna actually guys, I'll leave my script inside this folder because this is so red is the sound bites, i.e. the interviews we've got, and the black is what you could have as the text, so we explain that instead of a voiceover. Okay, so my script is here if you want to go for my script. By all means make your own one, grade it, make it cool. It's a really nice piece of work. In terms of using any stuff for your show reel for editing, like you can use combat stuff, don't use any of the Afghan locals please, and ideally not the sniper. You can see the bit where we can see through his scope is fine. Okay, so shots like that are fine. Not this one ideally, and that's fine because you can't see any information or face at all. Okay, so yeah, that's if you did want to use any for your show reels, but really probably better to work on stuff that you've actually been more involved with yourself, because this is just educational. But hey, it's all good. Cool, right now that's our longest lesson so far, 1 hour 21. So I'm going to take a break, grab a cup of tea, and then I'm going to do our next one, which is sort of Thursday's lesson as well, but because it's similar editing exercise, but it's an entirely different thing. I wanted to give you guys just as much to be working on this week as possible, so then I can focus on just getting feedback done, because I know I'm really behind on feedback. So I'm trying to give you as much some of Thursday stuff as well. If a good request comes up for Thursday, then I absolutely will do that too. But if not, then we'll sort of leave it at that, and I'll leave Thursday as like a feedback drop-in day where you can come and talk about your project ideas for this discovery type theme. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'll come back and we'll be on to lesson 5, which is completely different. I won't be getting sad at all because it's just a cartoon. Thank you for putting up with my eating and my sad recollections in this one. It was interesting to go back to it. But so I'm very grateful for this period in my life, but it's there's a lot of sadness that comes with it. So yeah, thanks for being there, and much love. I will speak to you guys in a second.